My name is Agbona. I'm the team lead for Beam Africa and the host for today's AMA. We'll be having two exceptional guests who will be together talking about the future of confidential DeFi in Africa. Amongst our guests, we'll be having Roselyne Wanjiru, who is the Director of Growth at Pesabase, and we'll be having Alex Romanov, who is the Tech Lead at Beam. So let's meet you guys first of all. Let's start with Roselyne. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, Roselyne?
Right. I'm an economist who happened to fall in love with blockchain tech. And if you wonder why, I was really curious about the future of payments, future of economy, and future of just business as it would be, because I was really concerned about how tech was just revolutionizing everything. And it wasn't just about social media or like Airbnb and Uber, but just wondering, okay, what's really the future of business? And I did not, for instance, want to find myself in a situation whereby I'm at this job, working, just building out my career, chasing my dreams, and then waking up to just one message or one email saying, guys, you need to be ready for redundancies because our industry is literally being flipped. And I had seen that happening. For instance, with mobile payments in Kenya, and you'll hear a lot about M-Pesa. We can, probably name drop it a bit later on. It's that we went from brick and mortar to mobile, and in just a few years, you went from literally just wanting to or planning your day around going to the bank to now everything just being a click away. And I thought I need to be actually ready for that click world. So my passion in economics just pivoted toward a love for data science, because I felt, okay, if data is the new gold, then I need to be ready to analyze that and be right in the mix where things are going, because data is literally the key to how this digital world is running. And in the course of just learning more about data science, then I got to learn about blockchain technology as the future of value and the future, literally the internet of value. And I felt, okay, this is really niche. That is my space. So just by introduction and, highlighting the context, I currently work with Pesabase, which is a financial service provider. We're looking just to connect Africa financially and definitely using blockchain. But the simple thing about it is that we don't need our users to learn about the tech. It's just you download the app, send and receive money, and it's that simple. But that's one of the rails that we're going to use to create a platform for businesses to be able to share value and not worry about security. Because I think one of the hugest nightmares that any person can have a business is waking up or seeing a notification on your mobile that some money is missing and it wasn't your work. So, before you start wondering, why is this happening to me? And what can I do to recover my resources? Then, that shouldn't be a fear with blockchain tech actually being in use right now. So that's just to highlight some of my passion areas and my work at Pesabase. We are really happy to have this conversation and just looking at the future of confidential DeFi. Thank you.
Awesome. That's quite remarkable, Roselyne, your background. I think we'll touch more a little bit about your work at Pesabase. All right, cool. Alex, you want to introduce us to our audience that may not be familiar with you?
Yes, so my name is Alex Romanov. Thank you very much for having me here. I have been developing software for a little over 17 years, different companies, a lot of startups, some larger companies, and in many different technologies. And 2.5 years ago, we have started this Beam project, which is a confidential cryptocurrency. And for me, it was the first time I did anything related to blockchain or to crypto. And also for the most of my team that happened to be my friends and people that I have worked with previously, they also knew very little about this. So we all had to learn almost everything from scratch. And we started building this in March 2018. And very quickly, we managed to launch the mainnet in a little over 9 months. So Beam was launched on January 3rd, 2019, which was the 10th anniversary of Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the most famous cryptocurrency, the first cryptocurrency, and definitely the most influential one. So since then, we've been working as a team, and Agbona knows us for a long time. We've been doing a lot of different things, and today we're going to talk about the latest direction that this project have taken, which is DeFi, and specifically confidential DeFi. So it's going to be very interesting.
Absolutely, absolutely. Let's have a little bit of background for both of you, like so that our audience can understand like the context which you guys are working with on a day-to-day basis. We'll start with Roselyne. So can you walk us through like what you do at Pesabase, like in terms of like the business itself and how it's able to connect Africans with, let's say, having access to money, sending and receive, like you said, which is basically the technology, which is basically you don't have to, not everybody needs to know how a car works, but basically you just know how to drive the car. You understand? So can you talk to us about how success you've had along the way with growing Pesabase user base in Africa?
All right, thank you so much. So Pesabase was actually born or just created, let's say 2017. And the founder, who is Niall Majok, you can actually just follow his story, was very passionate about Bitcoin and its potential as, you know, the future of money, cryptocurrency, and just really carrying some of the critical ideas about people being able to have financial freedom, financial sovereignty, and especially when you think about even identity in terms of sovereignty, being able to control your data. Now, Bitcoin for him actually just consolidated some of these really critical ideas, and he actually just sought to have Pesabase as a solution to primarily the South Sudanese community, because in if you follow, of course, the history of the country, it's actually one of the youngest countries and nations in the world. And you know, with the history of actually just now rebuilding from scratch after separation from Sudan, it's that the financial services scene is actually pretty green, because there aren't that many financial service providers. So you literally have a community that needs to be connected, and that's, as you would say, our first target, because they're extremely underserved. And you know, having that background from that nation, it's that you know, if you're able to start at home, then you can actually spread out to the rest of the world. Now, having Pesabase as a solution to financially connect Africa in a context whereby you're looking at such fragmentation in the financial service sector, it's that you're using blockchain technology to take down the barriers of people being able to connect and actually transact in financial services. Because with you know, the Pesabase app, and anyone can just get it off Play Store right now, or App Store, is that you don't need to have you know, a lot of documentation for you to create your account in the first place. And your account is entirely yours. We do not control your funds. You actually control your funds. And that's one of the key things that's really huge about Pesabase right now. Some of the challenges we faced as a startup, no doubt, and more so as a blockchain startup, because I remember someone mentioning that you know, if you're a blockchain startup, you're actually 10 times, you're taking a challenge that's 10 times harder than a normal startup, because you're laying a lot of groundwork, and you're literally creating a future that's not as relatable to many people right now. Now, you know, just that aside, it's that we've had technical challenges in terms of finding the right blockchain fit for our solution, because we've tried building on Ethereum, tried building on EOS, tried building on Omisigo, and each one of these blockchains had their advantage, but also had their disadvantage in terms of technical capability. And really, this is happening behind the scenes. So this is just to create an appreciation for the journey that's come to. And I'll mention that right now we have managed to build on Celo. Actually, this year has been a year of very many amazing milestones, because we participated in the inaugural Celo Camp. And Celo Camp is you know, it's a virtual incubator, it's a virtual boot camp that we were part of for 2 months. And in these 2 months, we were side by side with 260 teams from over 60 countries. And the special thing about that was that it wasn't just an opportunity to have mentorship and funding from a blockchain specific accelerator. It's that we were able to see just how, you know, just how critical it is to have that kind of partnership in terms of you being a startup and having a, you know, a mentor who understands your space, so to speak, if I may put it that way. Now, the thing is that there are, of course, a lot of uncertainties. It being a pandemic, you not knowing, when you will be able to get back to the market, get things back to normal. But through our participation in Cello Camp, we really got to learn a lot. And the thing is that a really amazing thing is that we got to win first place out of 260 teams. Now that was a really humbling win. And for us, the thing is that we get to connect with Cello on a basis of vision that we both want to create prosperity. And this one of the wheels, or one of the pillars of prosperity, is actually just being able to make sure that people can share value financially without wondering what will happen to my money. Will it be lost along the way? Will I lose control of my funds? And these are some of the headaches that really people have to date. And Pesabase is one of these solutions to just ensure that people can share value seamlessly and instantly, and not just seamlessly and instantly, but securely, because I think the more we go digital, the more we want privacy and security. It's not even so much about the speed, but the privacy and security to make sure that your funds are yours and you can do what you need to do when you need to do it with your funds, without hearing that, oh, we'll have a system upgrade and we can't serve you in that. But that's just a side mention. So for Pesabase is that this has really been our year of just getting the right technical fit for our solution, building the team that resonates with our vision, getting the right mentorship, getting the exposure that we had. We've of course been able to liaise with other teams before, since 2017, but I would say this has really been the breakout year. And just being able to invite our first users, invite our first communities to test the app, get feedback, iron out the bugs, and really just offer this product for what it is, and offer this service for what it has to offer. Because as I mentioned, it's for us, it's not just about leveraging the blockchain, leveraging the blockchain wave, or just riding the hype. No, for us, we believe that beyond the hype, blockchain tech is actually it's really going to be one of those things that we will wonder, how did we live without this tech before? And that's not just to hype it, but it's just a fact that's out there for anyone to see. Okay, there's a lot of debates around the usability of blockchain. Is it ready? Is it useful? But it depends. What do you really need it for? That's the question at the end of the day. So for us, it's that we're using it as a tool in our mission to connect Africa financially. That's the vision that has kept us going. That's the mission that has kept us connected. That's the mission that's kept us, just really being able to reach out and to do the things that we need to do, because we believe that this is our time, and this is definitely the space in which we need to thrive. And no doubt for us, that's really huge. So as at this point, I'm not just pitching Pesabase and inviting guys to use the app, but to see the idea that is here for us, that we have a tech that can actually lower the limits and actually eliminate the barriers, so that we can get to share this value without wondering, okay, will this just be copy pasted? Will I lose this? No, the safety is here, the security is here, and the platforms are here. We don't need to traditionally go to a learning institution to appreciate the value of this tech, because I believe that even with projects like Beam and then now Pesabase, it's that with one app download, you can get to be a beneficiary of this, and you don't need to so to speak get through all the debates. Is blockchain useful? Is blockchain safe? Do governments have to support blockchain? Yes, there's some of these really key debates that have to be addressed. There's some of these policy concerns that will have to be addressed over time, but people don't need to get into that right now. They just need to know that this tech is here, and there are apps that they can use to to their benefit in that regard, without, so to speak, a very high learning curve. So blockchain doesn't need to be complex. I mean, we're here to simplify it. That's the thing.
Awesome. First of all, congratulations on the win for the CLOs, taking first place in the CLOs camp, like you said. Yeah. And also, there are a lot of things you said that we totally agree with. This financial, so having the Africans having financial sovereignty. That's one of the major things. That's one of the major pillars of being. We take privacy very seriously, and it's really, your story is really remarkable, and we actually love it. And personally, I'm going to do more research about CLO and how the whole competition went. Also, Alex, we'd like to talk to you a little bit about. So what do you think, how was the transition for Beam, moving from sort of like a startup centralized model to the foundation governance, and how has that impacted your role at Beam?
Yeah, so when we started, we were kind of a normal company. We raised some money. We had this very classical startup structure, CTO, CEO, and all these other positions. And our goal from the very beginning was to transition at some point to a more decentralized structure. And this is what we did in the beginning of 2020, when the company was kind of transformed into a different, more decentralized and led by a separate foundation, which was not part of the original company. We have a very good team of foundation directors. All of them have been with us in that way or the other from the very beginning. All of them are very into privacy and blockchain and the combination of these things. And obviously, when this transition happened, some people became a little bit less involved, and as a result, some people became more involved in things that they were not previously involved in. But overall, I think that we were able to maintain the things that we were known for from the very beginning, which is the speed and the quality of our development. And obviously, our goals never changed regardless whether it's a company or a foundation. Our goal was to provide very usable and very stable privacy coin. And some of the things that Roselyne mentioned about not being worried about this technology, because it's very scary. One of these, let's say, consequences of this decentralization on not trusting anyone is that you are in more control over your money than with any other kind of institution. So basically, if you make a mistake, there is nobody who can help you and back you up. You cannot phone a blockchain and say, listen, I did this transaction by mistake, please send it back to me. And this is very scary for people because it's real life, it's real money, especially when you are not just, playing with it and gambling and doing all this stuff. If your life depends on it, this is very problematic and it's a very difficult mental transition. So we have invested a lot of work into making this as usable as possible. We produced wallets that were very carefully designed to be both beautiful in terms of aesthetics. So it's all nice, to work with an application that was designed with, your user experience in mind, but also to try and reduce these moments of anxiety where you do not know what's happening. And of course, it's not 100% possible, but because after all, it's a cryptocurrency and it's a blockchain behind it. But this is one of our key goals. One of our key goals is to make this usable for not only the enthusiasts or the technologists, but for people, in everyday life. So that's what's been going on. And I think I will have a lot more to say about what Roselyne said about the needs of people. So probably in the next questions, we'll get to that.
All right, cool. And also, what do you think is the trajectory for Beam's growth in the foreseeable future? With the way there's a lot of craze around DeFi, and do you see that impacting the growth of the future of Beam? And if yes, how do you see that changing where we are now?
Yeah, so we have started as a confidential cryptocurrency like Zcoin, Zcash, Monero, and several others. And the idea was that I think we lost Roselyne. Are you there?
I think she is here. You can go on.
Okay. So the idea of creating a easy to use confidential cryptocurrency is something that I think we have achieved this year with the addition of all the features that we wanted for this cryptocurrency, whether it's Mimblewimble and then Lilantos Mimblewimble on top of that, and some other technological words that, protocols, technologies, etc. And then we thought, okay, where do we go next? So obviously DeFi currently is a very hot topic. There is a lot of hype, a lot of money, a lot of action. But we have seen this before. There are constantly ongoing cycles of something, exploding. It was like ICOs in 2017, and then enterprise blockchains in 2018, and the Lightning Network, and this and that. So there is all the time there is something going on, which is like currently on top. But Beam is primarily a technology company, a technology project. It's not a company, but it's a technology project. So we are focused on building the best possible infrastructure for other kinds of applications. And so far, until recently, the only major application was confidential transactions. So if you want to transfer funds from one person to the next with as much privacy as possible, but while you are in control of which information you disclose. So if you want to fill in your tax reports or you want to be audited, no problem, we allow that as well. But by default, everything you do is confidential. Now the focus is shifting to a wider angle. So what we're doing, we're basically taking all the things that we have already built, and we're using this to expand into more types of applications. And we call it confidential DeFi because it's very easy for people to understand. Like DeFi, everybody kind of understands what it is. But what it really means is just taking this confidential base layer and then allowing to do more things than just sending funds. For example, confidential stablecoin, right? So we have two kinds of stablecoins. We have USDT, which is backed by some real dollars in some real bank. But on the other hand, we have great projects like MakerDAO DAI, which have created stablecoin, which is algorithmic and is based on smart contracts and uses math to balance the price of the coin relative to the collateral. And this kind of wrapped as a form of lending. So I'm basically lending some stable coins for some collateral they submit. And this is something that works very well. And this is something that we would definitely do on Beam as well, of course, with the added confidentiality. So I think it will be very useful for practical purposes, because after all, our world works in dollars and euro and other fiat currencies. And very often you need this connection. So the crypto is still too volatile for everyday life, right? You don't want to wake up on the first of each month and find out that your salary was actually doubled or halved, and you don't really want that. You need more stable mechanisms to make this reusable in real life. So this is something that we're definitely doing. And of course, together with all this, there are mechanisms that provide additional options for both trading, of course, and trading is all the hype because trading makes you money and trading is cool, but also for more basic operations such as lending, right? And for additional types of things that you need in your everyday life to operate with money. So it's some kind of escrow transactions, or maybe you're a business and you need this reporting as well in order to do that. And I think that what is special about Beam in this specific category is that we approach this from the bottom up as a privacy applications, right? So unlike, let's say, Ethereum, that is first and foremost, it's a distributed computation platform, and then you add applications, and maybe then you add privacy, but usually you don't. Since we start from the private confidential currency as a base layer, and we utilize that, for example, recently we have launched confidential assets, which basically you can create just like an ICO in a way, new tokens, but all of them become automatically completely confidential, which is very useful, right? You don't really need to think about it. It's not an option. It's not like, yes, I can decide to be confidential or not. It's something you just get for free if you're using Beam as a platform. And the same goes to all the other applications. And obviously we think that in real life, let's say you're a business in any country, I don't think you would really want to be, for your competitors or anybody else to be able to easily see how much you pay your employees and who are your providers, who are you buying from, and things like that. So you would like it to be private. So I think it will be very useful exactly for this kind of, operations, like businesses and people. If you take a loan, like if I take a loan, I don't want anyone to just, be able to see it on the blockchain. Oh, here is Alex, he took a loan for some reason. Let's see why. So this is basically where we're going from this point forward.
Awesome, awesome. Roselyne, I want to ask your thoughts. Like, what are your thoughts on DeFi? And do you see that affecting, because everybody's talking about DeFi now, and do you see Pesabase maybe morphing to maybe suit that narrative, or do you see them like, do you guys have any plans of maybe tapping into the DeFi craze and everything, generally speaking?
Right. So first, my thoughts on DeFi. I think we're seeing a bit of a replay of 2017 with the crypto boom, because a lot of people are just hearing, sushi and other tokens shooting 4,000% and all these other crazy percentages, and everyone is like, you're missing out on this, missing out on that. And I think quite recently, I think the Uniswap was just, it was just interesting for so many people, because you just woke up with, more than $1,000 on your account or something like that. And everyone is asking, so how do I get this? So there's all this fear of missing out, and there are all these exciting scenarios with everyone wanting to be ahead of the next curve, the next coin, the next profit, the next big thing, and all that. And I think one thing I would just definitely say is, don't be subject to FOMO, and don't be a casualty of FOMO all over again, because if you're greedy, I'm sorry, you're going to lose. If you're not diligent, I'm sorry, you are going to get hurt. And if you are not financially keen, financially disciplined, financially sound, then this is going to be a very, very, very horrible headache for you. But not to put it as badly as it is, or be, a voice of doom. Of course, I have very positive views about the DeFi space right now, because so many projects are going to come into light, which of course will, kind of just take us to the next level of what blockchain finance is all about, because there'll be more options for accessibility, and definitely with stable coins, we're going to see especially more of a wider adoption in terms of banks and central banks, especially when you consider central bank digital currencies. Not to say that that could happen through DeFi or specifically blockchain, but in the next 2, 3, 5 years, we're going to see probably the first CBDC out there. So mine is to actually just put it out as a word of caution. If you are, coming into this as a trader, and it's probably your first time to hear about digital assets, please, financial diligence. Research the company, research the project, find out your fundamentals. Don't just put your money into something expecting that there's a magic wand of, boom, the next minute you wake up as a millionaire or whatever. So tread cautiously, definitely. If you had any learning from the 2017 crypto boom, then it's a bit of the same, that this time around, have your due diligence. If you believe in a project, and if you believe in a particular team, then follow the trajectory over the last couple of months. Don't just don't just splash your resources and see what your friends are doing, and then you want the same. If you try to copy paste in finance, unfortunately, well, for some it could work. It's a world of probabilities, but it could also be as terrible as you may not want to imagine. So apply caution, apply due financial diligence, and just put the rest of your investment strategy in place, so that you're not just looking at DeFi as your one ticket to wealth. So that aside, Pesabase, I would say, is not diving into the DeFi craze as it is, because our focus right now is actually just enabling payments for our users and for our customers, because we do believe that by starting with this basic rail, that you're enabling borderless payments through blockchain, is that people can actually have that secure financial platform. And we're very secure in that, because you can hear about a trend, and you can hear about an opportunity. You might want to jump into it, and it could work well for you, and it could not. As a business, it's very critical that you're able to define what your vision is, what your mission is, and what your goals are over a period of time. Because if you're able to be committed to that, that's the only way to really create and generate value, rather than like the gold rush, I would say, in previous times. There are those who got to their gold early and they got big chunks. Good for them. But there are those who came late to the party, and they found all the gold was mined out, and maybe their frustration was that they had they bought the mining equipment, they bought the pans, they bought the axes, they were ready to dig and all that, but they spent more in the later stages and got less gold. So this is not to say that Pesabase is late to the party. We are pretty much secure in our mission and our vision to connect Africa financially. There are other companies, there are other projects that will offer the tokens, of course, that's great. And there are other organizations that definitely will pave way for other instruments in DeFi, whether it's, from loaning, credit, insurance facilities, literally the whole financial world currently centralized, but in a decentralized context. That's really the future of DeFi. So what I would, even just put as an encouragement to companies is, don't be afraid to experiment with DeFi. Don't be too scared of the terminology and the volatility, because just as Alex mentioned, it's that the volatility really puts off a lot of people, because they're thinking, okay, how are we supposed to manage an asset or a portfolio where it could be doubled or put to a third the next morning? That's not pretty sensible for a lot of companies. So speculators will definitely be the biggest winners out of this, because they can follow the trends. I mean, if you okay, I hate to say the word betting, but if you're betting on this token spiking in its price, and then you make your gain from that, well and good. But from an institutional point of view, then a lot of people are looking at what are some of the stable fundamental baselines that they can build upon and actually offer services to their clients, because no doubt decentralized finance is it's a beautiful world of opportunity, if I may put it that way. Just in the same way as which we moved from email being the main thing about internet to now having diversified services, social media, business analytics, and all these other tools that have come into play. So for me, DeFi, I would like our audience and everyone just listening to us today, try to see what's the message with DeFi. Don't just look at the tokens here and there and seeing all the prices and feeling bamboozled or just harassed by too much information in your face. Try and ask yourself, what's the message with DeFi? What's the issue with centralized finance? What are some of the pain points in centralized finance? For instance, opening an investment account in some countries can take days. And if, for instance, now with decentralized finance, you just open up your wallet within 2 minutes or less, and you're able to invest in securities and assets in other countries in that time frame of 2 minutes, then that means that we're in the age of the individual and the consumer coming into the center of financial services. So for institutions, it's that look at having your customer at the center and moving toward a more customer-centric model than an institutional or an institutionalized model, because really that's where the future of finance is going. That it's not just about what portfolio you have as a company and you establish fine, you have 200 years of experience under your belt, very well and good. What does the customer need right now? If I, as a young person, need to invest in securities outside my country, what's the easiest way for me to do that? And we've seen that already with Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, that in less than 2 minutes, I have my wallet. I didn't need to do KYC, didn't need to say where I live, didn't need to say how old I am, didn't need to say if I'm married or I have a family, didn't need to say all of that. I just needed to say, I have an email address and this is my wallet, period. Now I can invest, I can have my capital, and I have a diversified set of options in terms of increasing my increasing my portfolio. And that really is the most attractive thing about DeFi. So beyond the trader's haven as it is right now, all these other options and pain points that we're seeing in centralized finance could mature or take a completely different lifespan in decentralized finance. So that really, those are some of my thoughts around this space.
Awesome. Thank you for walking us through the whole, the word of caution and walking us through the whole process, and really appreciate that. Alex, can you give us a layman explanation of confidential DeFi, and how do you see that playing a role in Africa?
Yeah, so first of all, confidential DeFi is, it can mean several things, because when we talk about privacy and confidentiality, it's never like a binary answer. It's not like I'm private or I'm not private. It's always some kind of a spectrum. And in our case, it means that what you are doing, what transactions that you are doing, trades that you are doing, are not immediately visible and obviously not attributable to you. So you can control which information you choose or to disclose or not disclose in each specific case. It does not mean, however, that the contracts themselves are confidential, like the calculations themselves. They are visible and they can be verified. And the code of the contracts is obviously public and open, because you need to make sure that you know what you're doing and nobody is doing something behind your back. But all of the transactions inside are confidential. So that's what it means in our case. So regarding Africa, I really think that this is the most important question for me of this entire talk, because there are different types of players, right? So we have the speculators, and we have technology people, and we have people of ideology like decentralization and government or not government. But we also have a lot of people that have specific real world needs because they are in a specific situation in a specific country. And, you know, I don't know so I don't know what you think I know about Africa, but the real answer is very, very little. Like, this is my, I don't know, personal, it's very painful to say, but the world that I live in, from the news that I get and the internet that I get and all this stuff, it's very difficult for me to understand the real world needs of people in Africa. So first of all, Africa is a huge place, right? And every time I participate, like in an AMA with you, Agbona, or in recently we had a movie night in the Beam Africa community channel on Telegram. And I was like, what are these words that they're using? It looks like English, but it's not. So let me Google it. So I found a whole new language for myself that I tried to learn. And then I say, wait a minute, how many people live in Nigeria? Oh, 140 million, it's crazy. And things like that. Or they have 535 languages because they're in Central Africa and all the areas around speak different languages. So every time I touch anything which is out of my world, I learn like I'm just an alien that, you know, was just landed. And the reason I say that is because we know how to build technology and we know how to build great products, but we have no idea what people in different parts of the world really need. And the reason I say that is because I would really like to take this opportunity to encourage whoever is watching this and has, you know, needs and has things that he would like to see, to really provide this feedback for us. Because yeah, we are doing stuff that we think is going to be needed, and some things seem like obvious choices for us, but often we would love to feel and see more feedback about your specific needs in your country or your area, and we will really respond to that. We are actually listening to everything our community is saying, and we have a lot of people that are very active there, and they provide feedback constantly. It's very important for us. So I think that the more we hear, like I will just, you know, reverse the question. The more feedback you provide to us, the more we will be able to do in this direction. I think it's very important for both of us, because we don't want our product to remain this kind of, you know, technological box. We want it to be applied in real life use cases. And I think it will be very, very useful, this communication, this dialogue here, because it's very difficult for me and for us to imagine these different kinds of situations where you do not have a bank, or you have a difficulty, I don't know, opening the account, or you have some kind of international trade between maybe several different countries. So that's basically what I wanted to say in this regard.
Okay. First off, Nigeria, the population of Nigeria is more than 140 million, or over 200 million people in Nigeria.
Okay.
And the language you're talking about, that it sounds like English, but it's not English. We call it Pidgin English. It's a little bit broken. So everything is in present tense. So if you want to say I came to your house yesterday, everything we said in present tense, like I come your house yesterday. So that's the difference in pidgin English and and the actual English. And one thing I can tell you about Africa is that we're very young. The population of Africa is very young. The average person is about, I think it's less than 19 years or so. So we're a very young population. And there are lots of digital native people because in the evolution of technology in Africa, we skipped the landline. So went straight to mobile from having this communication. We actually got mobile faster than most of the other countries in the West even. And if there's one use case that we Africans would love to see is confidential stablecoins, because most of the countries in Africa are actually censored on major platforms like YouTube. You, as an African, you can't donate to YouTube channel. Like if you're watching your favorites YouTuber, you can't give like donations. You're censored from using PayPal. Lots of services actually censor Africans from such inclusion. So one thing we know is that, something I know for sure is that we need stable coins, confidential stable coins. We have lots of problems with our currencies because they are majorly inflationary. Like Naira has been suffering a lot of inflation in the past 2-3 years. And recently in Nigeria, the central bank is now trying to, people that operate domiciliary accounts that save that money they work for in dollars, the government is trying to sell or convert those dollars to Naira. You understand? So people are actually getting frustrated and they're selling it at the official rate while there's a black market rate. So official rate, the saying is about 385 Naira to a dollar, while the black market rate is about 485 Naira. So that's almost 100 Naira difference. So you're going to lose value in the money you have. And I wonder about how other cryptocurrencies are not really private, like Bitcoin. Bitcoin is really huge in Africa, very, very huge in Nigeria. But we have that problem of confidentiality because Bitcoin transactions are naturally not private. And with companies like Chainalysis, you can actually track Bitcoin transactions. So there's a concern there. So one thing I know for sure, one major use case that we Africans love to see coming from the Beam platform is confidential stable coins. It's something that I will use personally, and a lot of people, and perhaps Roselyne herself, might actually be interested in it because Africans as a whole, we have oppressive governments that do things, wake up one morning and issue a policy that might change the lives of millions of people. You understand? So these are one of the things I know for sure. And over the course of time, we always have our feedback. We always have this conversation and see how we can actually add more value. And hopefully, the viewers of the audience of this AME, if they have any other like inputs and feedback that they would like to see implemented on the Beam blockchain, awesome. We'll actually take that up and push the right channels. Right. So Roselyne, I was going to ask you something a little bit about your background. Like, I know you're an economist, but have you had any other experience working with previous blockchain projects that actually give you this profound knowledge about the space and how it can actually change lives in Africa? So basically, like your background, have you had previous engagements with other crypto projects? And if yes, like, can you tell us a little bit about that? I'd like to know more about you.
All right, thank you. So in my journey, I have before the blockchain world, I worked with, or rather within project management and just literally being able to organize performance contracts for multiple organizations and, just how they can track value and, what's the word? Aside from tracking value, just being able to trace their progress in terms of project management. Like if you say you're going to create or build extra training units for school, then how long are you going to take, what budget will you require, which contractors are you going to bring on board, and things like that. So for me, project management really placed in me a sense of systems thinking, because I find that as one of the key skills that are really vital to just have as an economist, and which will be really fourth IR necessary. And by fourth IR, I mean fourth industrial revolution. So 2017 was really the turning point for me into the blockchain world, because I got to learn about, especially, Bitcoin, and I got asking myself, what's the future of such an asset that if it really cost that, if it really was worth that $17,000, then I was really curious to know, why is this, more worth? It had a higher value than gold at the time. And I was like, wait, how is this possible? Is this really sustainable? So I am a researcher both by nature and by training, because as an economist, really, I found I gravitated more toward research and things to do with policy. So I knew that was really the space in which I would thrive. So 2018, I was working with EOS Nairobi at the time. And I did a lot of the education program coordination because we really focused heavily on just getting awareness about the EOS blockchain at the time and the opportunities that were really open to developers and to communities in terms of just building solutions on the EOS protocol. 2019, then joined Kesha Labs at the time because we were looking to develop a software studio and just really get blockchain solutions to companies, because one of the gaps actually in the space is that we don't have enough blockchain developers. One of the questions I get asked quite frequently, aside from how to invest in blockchain, is can I get a developer to actually get me an app who can, build a smart contract and get an app that runs with, this tech. So we were looking to just have a talent hub around that, and the thing was just to have a steady pool of talent project and just having that strong ecosystem. I was doing the research and marketing at the time, and for Kesha Labs in this year, we decided to pivot to Pesabase because, just as a strategic business decision, really. And we had all these blockchain projects just kind of, in development and in process, and each one of them needed their own time and space to grow, of which we felt that focusing on Pesabase as one of as a flagship project then would be the best decision for us, of which that's really paying off in quite a number of ways. So those are some of the roles that I've had as an economist in research, marketing, and now just user acquisition. So some of the other communities that I'm either part of or working with one way or another, the Blockchain Association of Kenya, I'm the Secretary General. Also with the Africa Blockchain Institute, I'm a facilitator for some of their classes. The Government Blockchain Association, that's GBA, with Bitcoin Kenya, from time to time I'll contribute on an article or a piece. Bitcoin Africa as well. There are quite a number of communities, even the DLBRT or Deliberate, just when you take out the vowels. That's I have both participated in and just been able to oversee some of the training sessions that are there. And for me, my work has just revolved around information and really the business of information, because as a researcher and as an educator or a consultant, then these are some of the things I'm interested in, because I believe that it's very critical for people to be able to appreciate the big ideas behind this tech, because it's not just about the tech. I mean, we can argue about, oh, this blockchain is the best, that blockchain is the best, this product is the best, that solution is the best. You will hear about fundamentalists, maximalists, minimalists, and all these fancy terms in the space. But at the end of the day, whether as individuals or as businesses, we need to be able to ask ourselves, all right, we have a tool, what can we use it for? Because when especially people hear about criminals in the sense of terrorists and drug lords using this technology, then it's associated with that. And for a while, I would actually see people just giving that silent stare, like, she's in Bitcoin, scammer. You can almost hear this person calling you a scammer because there have been so many scams out there. But my work in the last 3 years has especially just been to create that dividing line and telling people, okay, guys, there's actually a digital asset that you can invest in at your own pace, at your own time, and not having to buy like 500 packages and getting daily interest rates, which of course those are scams. But there's a digital asset, but beyond the digital asset, there's a technology that enables trust, privacy, security, and it's in a decentralized fashion. So the thing for me has been to create that clarity of thought and that clarity of of utility, in terms of there's a technology here and it's neutral. If a criminal uses it, it doesn't mean that the tech is horrible. And I mean, for anyone who's listening today and wondering, okay, you guys are so complicated and this technology is being used by criminals, no, please just pause and separate. The tech is there, the tech is neutral, it's code, it lives in a computer. I mean, is a computer good or bad? Does it even know what we are doing on the human side? So really, it comes back to human motive, because the the zeros and ones in, behind the scenes don't know what's going on in the human world. We're the ones who actually just key in the code and instruct it to do A, B, C, D, IFJK, and so on and so forth. So really, my background has really exposed me to be able to appreciate that the digital world really is an enabler. The thing is, what are we on the human side doing? If we're not able to answer that simple question, then we'll be really confused about what the tech has to offer, because we on the human side, again, need to be able to appreciate the needs of the people around us and the needs also of other communities around the world, definitely. Because, for instance, with Bitcoin, it's that there was a need to have a financial service that's not, that doesn't have a single point of failure. That's simple, because Bitcoin is a peer-to-peer payment solution. That's what it is at heart. If you tear it apart and break it down to the basic, it's literally a peer-to-peer payment solution. And whether you want to think it's an anti-government conspiracy theory, please just those are for another day, for another time. It's a peer-to-peer payment solution. And aside from that, then you have these other tools with decentralized finance and so on and so forth, platforms that will enable us to secure value. And that's really the heart of this conversation, because for instance, with Confidential DeFi, it's that I, as a whether as a business or as an individual, can make sure, and I can go to sleep at night in peace knowing that my money is safe. That's it. Really, that's it. If I miss that point, or if the audience misses that point, then it's going to be very complicated, and it's going to be very hard to appreciate what a lot of companies are doing behind the scenes, and the work that they're putting in, because it's really critical. So the thing is that for just really emphasizing this point, it's that this DeFi world as at now, especially Confidential DeFi, and just kind of preempting one of my my thought on this ahead, is that this is about having our finances secured, having our money safe, having our resources in our control for us to use in the manner that we wish to do, and not having a third party say, no, you can't do that with your own money. So yes, if you are a criminal, then well, there will be the law to take care of you. But if you're acting in good faith, then hey, good for you. Use these use these tools to your advantage.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you for that background story. And Bitcoin as an enabler, and cryptocurrency generally as like basically peer-to-peer enabling transactions. There are over 350 million unbanked Africans. And one of the major issues that we've had in the continent is basically that barrier of entry for you to have like a bank account. Like people who are living in remote areas, they don't have access to internet, they don't have access to basically accessing a bank. And mobile money has done well in that penetration. Like they've done really well. So my question now to you, Roselyne, do you think mobile money is cryptocurrency products actually doing well in terms of penetrating that unbanked, that's demographic of unbanked Africans? And it's as in basically the question is mobile money, cryptocurrency, which is doing a better job in accessing that 350 million Africans that are unbanked?
Right. So first of all, to appreciate just how bad the unbanked problem is that you're not just looking at, as you said, 350 million, you're looking at almost 700 million. It's really a double number, because financial service access, for instance, I think around East Africa, we're looking at about 30% penetration, right? And of this 30%, it's that you're looking at mostly people who have salaries, because traditionally when you set up for your first job, they ask for your tax number and tax identity number, and of course your bank account. And for most bank accounts right now, it's that you do have to produce the tax identification number so that you can have the bank account, and they can of course tell how much money is coming into your account. Now for so many people, then you have two barriers to accessing banking services. That a lot of people do not have the very basic national identification to begin with, and without that national ID, then you can't go to the next level of actually getting that tax identification number. Then by that you can't access the bank and banking services, banking accounts, and so on and so forth. So with mobile money just coming into that curve and coming into that space, it's that someone only needed their ID number, the national identity card number, and the phone number, and that's it. You actually have access to a service like M-Pesa, which has really, I would hate to say infiltrated, but really infiltrated all neighborhoods in Kenya, because you just need to take a walk in any neighborhood, and one of the first things you're going to see is just the green sign, and chances are it's M-Pesa, because just about every neighborhood shop that has just easily accessible household goods then tends to have an agent whereby someone can deposit and withdraw the money. So mobile money has really been a huge success on our side, because all anyone needed, just a basic phone number, and the national ID. And with that, it's that you can actually have on the same mobile phone, whether it's a feature phone or a smartphone, multiple SIM cards. And a lot of people tend to do that because you realize, especially with very, very low income households, it's that maybe it's one parent who has the phone, and if they want to send money to their kids, then they leave that particular phone at home so that it can be the recipient for that household's needs, and that's how they'll get their money very easily. So crypto cannot, as of yet, cross that barrier, because then you realize for a lot of crypto wallets, then you need an email address, right? And for that email address, then it tends to just prod the question, then does that phone have a browser? So is it a smartphone or not a smartphone? And how smart is that smartphone, again, because you have all these generations of Android, so on and so forth. But the thing is that we're looking at getting crypto following the rail of mobile money, because for me, I see that it's going to be very easy for especially people who have interacted with or dealt with mobile money platforms and services to use cryptocurrency. Now, the only challenge with crypto right now is actually just the ability to cash in and cash out, because for so many people, then are you going to pay for your groceries, your coffee, your entertainment, your subscriptions in crypto? No, not as at now. But the more merchants are willing to accept different cryptocurrencies as payment methods, like for instance, if you're going to see Visa accepted here, MasterCard, M-Pesa, and aside from cash and all that, then that's going to be how crypto gets to be adopted for so many African communities, because then people won't need to cash out in the first place. Now, that's the thing. So we need to actually see platforms and products that bypass the need to have someone cash in or cash out, because for as long as we need the cash elements, then crypto can't really surpass mobile payments, of which even for mobile payments in different African countries, then there are quite a number of considerations to make, because there are those that, they're really, really heavy on cash, and it's not like you're going to force them to adopt mobile payments. And by extension, then you can't sell the crypto dream to them. So, just to put it that way, then it's that my observation really is that the adoption of crypto is really going to follow easily on the heels of mobile. But the thing, and one of the pillars to that is actually just having merchants appreciate the lower cost, higher speed, higher transaction times, and higher security, of course, with handling their own payments as businesses. And when you have especially cross-border trade, and with the Africa Free Trade Agreement coming into play, and more people realizing that they need seamless, instant and secure payment methods, then crypto is really going to be, just that ready platform. But the thing is, how many people know about it? So we also need a lot of peer-to-peer education, and it can't just be that, cryptocurrencies as these huge complex things that are volatile. No, we're actually going to need very, very simple rails so that businesses can actually take it as a practical and easy to use way to accept payments from their clients and their customers on the daily. Because if that usability threshold is not crossed, then crypto is still going to remain highly speculative for a lot of people. And the thing is that we already have a lot of young people who are earning extra income from trading alone, and that's great, that's good. Now the next on ramp, because even when you consider the adoption curve in terms of innovators, early adopters, early majority, late majority, and so on and so forth, is that with crypto, we've definitely crossed from innovators to the early adopters. Now we're trying to warm up the early majority, and one of the best ways really to warm in the early majority is to make crypto as simple as possible for the small business owner, because these are the ones who are doing hundreds of thousands of microtransactions every other day, and they may not be doing massive volumes per business, but when you consider the aggregate of all these small businesses just really sending money and receiving and all that and making their payments, it's a huge network of value that's completely untapped and completely unconnected. So to answer as to how we can rope in the unbanked, really then it's to see which platforms will be the easiest then to rope in community businesses which are actually reaching them, because then now for you can consider a business as, so to speak, a last mile connector to the community, right? Because at one point or another, people will come to buy household goods. They will buy their salt, they will buy the sugar, they will buy the bread, and they buy the milk, right? So instead of looking at how to get the unbanked themselves, then look at how are they sharing value, then see how to rope in crypto into that network, because then you'll realize the business is actually the first point of being able to reach the people. Because if they say, oh, I'm going to give you the options to pay either in cash or these wallets, then I'll ask myself, okay, is it easy to get these wallets? Oh, just on my phone, or just one download. There we go, we've connected the unbanked. And they don't need to provide so much documentation for them to get connected. And the thing that we're looking at is lowering the barrier of access from hundreds of, okay, not really hundreds, but a lot of forms to fill to just an email address or a phone number. Those two things should be really the rail to connect hundreds of millions of people. And with that, it's just that, even internet accessibility, that needs to improve by a huge margin, because, I mean, for Africa, we're at just barely 30% continent-wide accessibility. And that means that, we need a lot of partnerships and work going into just enabling a lot of people to just be able to get online, because, sorry to digress, I thought of, we hear a lot about the darknet, right? Encryption, Tor, all that. But what if the darknet is actually just the whole web of hundreds of millions of people who are completely disconnected from the internet and from the benefits that are connected to the internet, So that's a discussion for another day. But the thing is that if we're talking about the unbanked, it needs to be as simple as possible. The business and community sharing aspect, and the other one is, of course, internet connectivity, and not just looking at this from a charitable or donor kind of way, because I don't think that even how to create and overcome barriers of wealth, it's through donations. No, it's actually enabling communities to share their value, create their value, upload and sell their digital products, and as they are selling their digital products, exporting their culture, exporting their wealth, exporting their their whole ingenuity as communities, then they'll be able to access financial services, so that it's not just giving them financial services for the sake of financial services, but enabling them to participate in the digital economy, which is not limited to communities, but it's global and it's really powerful.
Amazing. Really, thank you very much for that. Okay, sure. Alex,
I have a question. I will take this opportunity to ask, if we're talking about like different difficulties in cryptocurrency adoption. Let's say we have technology and we have regulation and we have awareness and education. What is the most, like, where would you put the weight of the most problems? Like, is it technology or regulation or just spreading the word?
All right. For me personally, my observation is that it's equal. slightly equally weighted because on the side of awareness and education, a lot of work really needs to go into that because you still have communities that don't know that all these financial services and products exist in the first place. Then when you look at regulation, then you have regulators who are kind of caught in between not using these platforms at all and having, so to speak, unregulated use, because with traditionally innovation beats regulation and goes ahead of it. So you have a bit of a headache for regulators, because how do you tell them to regulate DeFi when it hasn't hit a threshold of, let's say, 100 million users, 50 million users, and some countries for, some countries against. So we are in a gray space right now, especially in terms of regulation, because some countries are for blockchain cryptocurrencies, giving guidelines and permitted use of it as either a digital asset or a payment. And for those that have it as a digital asset, then they have tax guidelines and things like that. So you can look, when I consider the milestones that have been made in Singapore, Hong Kong, Malta, Malaysia, several countries around the world that have really just been spearheading these regulations, then they're showing the way, and other countries can kind of learn from that, borrow these regulations. But for those that have completely either banned the use of digital currencies or cryptocurrencies, then the question remains: do you allow people to use them or just leave them be? So that's that. And even the fact is that a lot of these tools haven't hit the scalability that will enable, let's say, hundreds of thousand transactions per second. So we have each of these three areas with both progresses and with both milestones and very serious drawbacks. So I would say that this is an excellent time for people just to explore the ideas, to innovate where they can, and also, of course, definitely to collaborate, because at the end of the day, for me, it's about empowering communities. Because one thing about communities as living organisms is that you just give them sometimes the 1 pointer, 2 pointers, and 3 just give them a big goal, big target, and you'll see how they will evolve with it. They will own it and give it a life of its own. So it's really amazing to see what different communities are doing with the tech around the world. And one of my favorite actually examples is Bangla. So Bangla is the user of community currencies in Kenya, in Mombasa. And one of the things that especially this year, there was a 500% increase in use, because instead of using the Kenya shilling to access commodities and just make payments and have some form of credit, then a lot of people were able to use the token, and it was very simple for them, because once you have some credits, because how it works is that once you kind of pile them up, then you can kind of claim on that. So best way or simplest way to kind of explain it is like a reward or loyalty system. And you see that, with blockchain, that's really one of the key easy value points for a lot of people to kind of pick out. So just highlighting that and mentioning that each of these three areas have milestones that have been made, but also very serious drawbacks that kind of give us now the room to work on these issues, because it's it's of course very critical for companies to be able to leverage both ways, work with regulators and with communities, so that in as much as you're a business looking to both leverage the tech and to thrive in that space, then you want to show goodwill to the regulators that you are willing to work with them and show them how the tech works, and to the community that they need to know that they're safe and they can use your platforms and products very easily, so that either way, it's at the end of the day, it's a win-win for all three.
Awesome. Alex, I'd like to know, do you have any final thoughts? Like, do you have anything, like, you've learned a lot about Africa today, you've learned the language, have an idea of the population size and the age, and still a lot of things about the community, how communities are very important in the adoption of crypto. So, like, do you have any final thoughts? Do you have any things you'd like to share towards the end of this conversation?
Yeah. So first of all, I understand that you have never used this phone with this round thing, right?
I never used it.
We don't know what you're missing. So yeah, I think that I think that the most important the most important conclusion for me is that we should talk more often, because we are building really a lot of very interesting stuff, and I don't say that just because I'm biased and I really like this project, but there is an amazing world of technology that blockchain and crypto projects have opened, cryptography and interesting distributed algorithms. But I think it's all will be less meaningful, maybe not meaningless, but less meaningful if we cannot really apply it to real world problems of real people. And I think Beam as a project today can really benefit from more feedback on this part. So just from this call alone, I learned a lot of things that I will definitely follow up on in terms of like different applications. And for example, Beam Wallet does not require email, but it does require a phone that can run applications. Okay, so you cannot really use it on older like Nokia phone or whatever. But maybe doesn't have to be this way. Maybe there are like some certain technologies that you can use differently. So it's important, because otherwise we will just build more super techy stuff and nobody will use it. So what we're doing here.
All right, thank you very much for that, Alex. Roselyne, do you have any final words, like anything you want to say to the audience, to the community, to anybody that's listening?
First of all, don't be put off by the scary terminologies. And just don't feel so put off by feeling that all this is too complex. I mean, at the end of the day, as I mentioned earlier, we're looking at securing your financial value. That's it. You want your money safe? Good. You want to use it for a specific purpose? Great. You're on the right track. These are new tools for you to use. And if you need your own learning curve, your own space and time to learn, please enjoy your learning curve. Don't feel like you need to go get a finance degree and come and then understand and appreciate DeFi. No, that's not the thing. We have these platforms to actually just make it simpler for you to understand. So follow us on social media and just get the discussion going as simply as possible. But over and above that, just as Alex mentioned, just find that sweet spot of where this tech will be usable for you, because the more you're open to just learning in the simplest way possible, then you will be able to apply that. And away from the complex tech and terminology, get a friend who's a software developer to kind of just break that down for you. But the point is that the same way that you didn't need to learn all the parts of a car, and you didn't need to be a mechanical engineer to learn to drive the car. It's okay. Hey, don't get stuck in the rabbit hole of all these terminologies before you you learn the simple use of the tech. So keep it simple, collaborate where you can, and just be open to learn, because this is a really exciting world. So thanks for that. Thanks for this opportunity to have this discussion. And let's keep it going.
Awesome. I'm really grateful to both of you for taking our time to have this conversation. And like Alex said, we should keep talking, and we can explore more things we can actually work on together in the future. Thank you very much, guys, for being part of this conversation, and have a lovely day.